Call to order the Wheeling Plan Commission for Thursday, October 25th, 2012. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Commissioner Burns?
Here.
Commissioner Dorband?
Here.
Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Schaaf?
Here.
I'm Commissioner Stylen. I'm present. Chairman Maloney?
Here.
That's 6 present, and Commissioner Raffato had given prior notice that he would not be here this evening.
Thank you. Mr. Jennings, are there any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes this evening.
We have citizens' concerns and comments. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak up at this time? There being none, we close that, and we go to consent items. Docket number SCBA 12-49, Digicel Communications. This is the cell phone store at 98 East Dundee Road, appearance approval of a wall sign. And docket number SCBA 1250, Segregal, 750 South Wolf Road, appearance approval of wall signs. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Burns?
Yes.
Commissioner Dorband?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaaf?
Yes.
Commissioner Stylen, I vote yes. Chairman Maloney?
Yes.
6 yes and 1 absent.
And Commissioner Stylen, you had something?
Yeah, I just have a question in general about signs. You know, I thought that we once had a policy to try and gravitate towards business names, and I'm just wondering about one of the businesses that we had on the agenda talked about what I would appear to be a business name and the function that they do. And normally those functions are kind of tagline items, or at least I'd consider phone repair a tagline item, but the tagline in this case is just as big as the title of the business, and just wondering what the village's thoughts on all those questions that I asked.
The idea of it's a should and not a shall requirement in the code, but the idea, as you said, was to identify for the public convenience the name of the store. In this case, I believe the store's name is actually Digicel Communications and Phone Repair. I believe he's here if you would like to ask him what the name is, but I believe that is the name of the store in this case. But I don't know if you can. Would you like to? It's been approved already.
You're safe.
So you can give us the old. Hi, Andrew.
There was a question, I think, just on the name of the store. What is the actual name?
It's Digicel Com Cellular Repair, but we can't fit the whole name on there, so we have to.
Oh, put the little phone on. Hey, that's a good idea too.
But
Yeah.
the answer to the question is Digicel Communications and Phone Repair is the name of the company.
Yes,
Totally.
it is. Yeah,
Okay.
with our logo on there as well.
Thank you very much. That's my only question.
That's
Okay.
Thank you.
So you're all set.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. All right, items for review. We have a public hearing on docket number 201216 Tamagawa, 742 Glen Avenue, special use site plan approval for outdoor storage. And I'm told that this is the largest producer of toner in the U.S. Am I correct?
Correct.
Mr. Jennings.
The petitioner, Tamagawa, was in front of the Plan Commission. Go ahead.
Okay, docket number 2012-16, Robert Milligan, representative of Tamagawa, owner, is seeking special use and site plan approval as required under Chapter 19-07 Industrial District, Section 19.07.040 in the I3 General Industrial District, Chapter 19-10 Use Regulations, and Chapter 19-12 Site Plan Approval Requirements and associated sections to establish an outdoor storage facility greater than 400 square feet at 742 Glen Avenue, Wheeling, Illinois, which is zoned I3 General Industrial District.
Mr. Jennings.
The petitioner, Tomogawa, was in front of the commission roughly a year or so ago, I'd say, right? And requested approval of what you see on the screen now. The original plan, I think, as stated at that meeting, was to see how it goes with the one, and at this time, the business has decided they need a second container. The container that you see on the right here is the current condition of the container. It has been modified to meet the conditions of approval of the original site plan review. And with that, I would hand it over to Mr. Milligan.
About a year ago, they installed the first storage container outside. They keep old equipment and tanks inside the container. It's all electric-powered equipment. There's no gasoline or anything in there. And they're just doing a lot of production. They need more room inside the plant, so they would like to add a second storage container adjacent to the first one in that open spot on the stone out there. The first one has been installed with fire protection, so we would just tie into that loop and also install the fire protection in the second one. It would also be painted similar as the first one. It would also keep the outside clean of old equipment and debris.
I've just been reminded I didn't swear you in, which I'm required to do. Would you raise your hand? You swear everything you're about to tell us or have told us is the truth?
Yes.
And for the record, would you give your name and business address?
Robert Milligan, Process Engineering Systems, 608 South Washington Street in Naperville.
Thank you. Anything else?
No.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the room who would like to speak on this? Jan? Okay. In that case, there is no one. I'm going to ask the fire department, do you have any comments?
All of our comments were included in their review letter, and the gentleman has already addressed most of those comments, and they've done this once before.
Okay, we'll go to the next fire department, which is Mr. Burns.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am glad that in the last week you have cleaned up the outside storage and painted the existing container. That nice color that blends in well with the building is less conspicuous, and those will be, of course, our conditions. Maybe I'm jumping ahead, but those will be conditions I'll ask for with the second container. Otherwise, I have no problem and would be in favor of this request.
Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you. The second container is going right up against this one?
About 12 inches away.
Okay, so that piping that's on the outside, I assume that's the sprinkler that they have now?
Correct.
That would still be right there? You don't have to relocate it?
Correct.
Okay. My other concerns were the conditions prior to last weekend, so that's all I had. Thanks.
I'm sorry that took so long.
Commissioner Dorband.
My conditions were already mentioned. That's all I have. Thank you.
And Commissioner Stylen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think, as far as outdoor storage goes, this is probably some of the nicest outdoor storage that we would want to have in our town, right? It fits right in. It's clean. It's doesn't have like some of your other stuff that's not there anymore. It's just real nice, and I'm not opposed at all to increasing or granting the size increase. The only criticism that I would have, the standards for special use, which there are 8 of them, require that they all be answered and approved by the commission, and any time that one of the isn't in favor of is grounds for dismissal of the petition. And, you know, you answered NA to all but one of the conditions. And, you know, I find that a little bit unsettling. Staff did answer, put in their comments and attempted to answer their thoughts on the special use. And the only thing that I'll say is I believe that it's required to be your words, but I'll accept staff's answers this time and hope that in the future we can get petitioners' answers. But I like what you're doing. I think it's great. I think it's, you know, it's the best kind of storage one could have. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Schaaf.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I only have a couple things. I know looking into the future, do you plan any more?
No.
So 2 is it?
Well, yeah, because the property significantly jumps off toward the little reservoir.
Towards the back.
Toward the back there. There's a drainage duct. There's some an open drainage area that connects sewers. So it's such a drop off at that point. We did not plan on additional storage.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I close the public portion of the hearing. And any other comments?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I just became aware that you're going to place this 12 inches from the existing container. Debris will get between them. And how do you plan to clean that up?
We could go farther than 12 inches. That was just an approximate. Because we have the pipe going, the sprinkler pipe going between the two. We could go 24. We have enough room there. Or we could go tight and maybe put some carbon steel walls between the two so nothing can get back there. I'd probably propose going 2 feet away. So if debris or something gets back there, someone could walk back there. It's a stone base.
Yeah.
So nothing's going to grow back there. I recommend probably 2 feet
just
space.
Just accumulate. There's nothing in the code about that you're aware of offhand, Andrew?
Nothing offhand, no.
This is kind of a new way of putting together some outside storage for businesses, I know. Okay, I guess work with staff on that.
You know,
Like
you
a
brought up
condition
an
of 2
interesting
feet?
problem, because if it's too far away, now you're going to allow somebody to possibly hide back there and make an unsafe situation. So I'm, you know, maybe having something on the side so somebody couldn't get between them. That's the only thing, since you brought that up. 12 inches, would be pretty hard for somebody to hide between. 24 would give somebody a perfect place.
Well, if someone was, I know you're talking about kids playing hide and seek. If someone was hiding back there, they could walk between the container and the building. So I don't, if a second container gives them a second place, second hiding place, I don't think that's really going to be a big change. But I am concerned that if it's 12 inches apart, that just, you know, wind carried debris is going to accumulate in there, and it's going to be real difficult to
Like a condition
remove
of
it.
24 inches minimum?
Or placing something on the ends.
One or the other.
As it's written right now, while you were speaking, it's phrased as that the area between the containers be kept free of debris, which would give them the flexibility to make them wide enough to clean it out or put panels up to prevent.
I like the idea of putting panels up so that somebody couldn't get back there. And they could be removable if they wanted to clean them, but I just think the panels should be there.
I like that flexibility, Andrew, and you'll be working with staff on coming up with, you know, a solution that works best for everybody. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Can you read the conditions, please?
There's the 3 from the staff report. Number 1, the containerized storage shall comply with the requirements of the Life Safety Code as described in the Fire Department memo dated October 19th, 2012. Number 2, that the new and existing storage area shall be limited to 2 freight containers painted to blend with the adjacent building, to be maintained in good condition and free from rust or peeling paint. Number 3, that the outdoor storage outside the container shall be removed. And number 4, that the area between the containers be kept free of debris.
We hear a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
before
sir.
we go on, I refer to the fire department's memo, number 4, that they have to be anchored to each other.
That's in the conditions.
Well, if they have to be anchored to each other, then
You can weld the
Part
beam
of-
across the top.
but that's
How
not
is that-
going to
how's that
prevent
gonna be
somebody from
accomplished?
going back there.
How's that going to be accomplished, anchoring them together?
Oh, we could weld angle iron between the 2 storage containers, either a couple angle irons up high and a couple ones lower to make sure that's secure.
Does that meet your,
Well, part of what generated that comment is it appeared that the containers were going to be directly adjacent to each other. As long as they're adequately secured around the base, there probably is not a structural need to tie them together horizontally. So that would be fine if they don't do that.
That's okay with me.
okay. Do I hear a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, please call the roll.
I'm Commissioner Stalen. I vote yes. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Dorband?
Yes,
Commissioner Burns?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaaf?
Yes.
Chairman Maloney?
Yes.
6 yes and 1 absent.
Do I hear a motion to close the public hearing?
so moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion closed. You'll have some papers to sign and you're on your way, sir.
Thank you for your approval.
Thank you. It's looking good.
Bizarre. I guess. It seemed to fit on my screen.
Calling docket number 2012-17A and B, Wheeling Park District, 344 Edgety Drive. 2012-17A is special use site plan approval for outdoor storage, and 1217B is variation from Title 19 zoning for size of outdoor storage. Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dockets number 2012-17A and B is Lawrence Ravel, Superintendent of Planning at the Wheeling Park District. Owner is seeking the following for the property at 245 Edgerty Drive, which is zoned I-1 Light Industrial and Office District. For docket 17A, special use and site plan approval as required under chapters 19-07 Industrial Districts, sections 1907.020 I-1 Light Industrial and Office Districts, chapters 19-10 Use Regulations, and chapter 19-12 Site Plan Approval Requirements and associated sections to construct and utilize an outdoor storage facility And for item 17B, variation from Title 19, zoning of the Wheeling Municipal Code, Appendix A, use table, industrial district storage facilities to increase the maximum size of outdoor storage that is permitted as a special use to 560 square feet in the I-1 light industrial and office districts. Now, a standard for variation. A zoning variation is intended to be a method of adjustment to equalize regulations where Title 19 of the Village of Wheeling zoning has created an unnecessary hardship. A variation is designed to allow the affected property owners the same rights and privileges that others enjoy in the same zoning district. In order to be granted a variation, a petitioner is required to demonstrate through testimony to the Plan Commission at a public hearing why their request meets the conditions of the village code, including but not limited to how their individual situation is unique or unusual. Prior to the public hearing, the petitioner provides written statements meant to show their request for variation meets the standards established in Title 19. The Commission chairperson will typically direct that these statements be entered into the record without a full reading of them at the hearing. Based upon the testimony and supporting materials submitted, the Plan Commission may make findings in support of or against the petitioner's testimony and report those findings to the Village Board. Now, the standards for special use are: a zoning special use is defined in Title 19 of the Village of Wheeling zoning is a use of a parcel or land that requires review and consideration before approval due to circumstances or effects on the surrounding properties that may adversely affect them. In order to be considered for special use, the petitioner is required to demonstrate through testimony to the Plan Commission at the public hearing why their request meets the condition of the village code, including, and not limited to, how the proposed use will not damage the enjoyment or use of the surrounding properties. Prior to the public hearing, the petitioner provides written statements meant to show that their request for special use meets the standards established in Title 19. The Commission chairperson will typically direct that these statements be entered into the record without a full reading of them at the hearing. Based upon the testimony and supporting materials submitted, the Plan Commission will make findings in support of or against the petitioner's testimony and findings to the Village Board.
Mr. Jennings.
What I'd like to do is actually turn it over to Mr. Raffel. The staff does have a couple of comments, but I'll save it for later.
I have to swear you in. You swear everything you're about to tell us is the truth?
I do.
And would you give your name and business address, please?
My name is Larry Raffel. I'm Superintendent of Planning at the Wheeling Park District, 333 West Dundee Road in Wheeling, Illinois. And also here tonight is Jan Bukes, the Executive Director of the Wheeling Park District as well.
Is the Executive Director going to give any statements? Why don't you come on up and we'll swear you in just in case. You have to jump in and save them or something. You swear everything you're about to tell us is the truth?
Yes.
And give your name and business address, please.
Jan Bukes, Wheeling Park District, address 333 West Dundee Road.
Thank you. You have the floor.
Do you want me to just deal with the special use permit issue or all of the improvements at the same time?
I think if you just give an overview of we can go to the slide that has the overview. I think probably
Okay.
just flip through them.
Because we're actually here tonight requesting some site plan and appearance items as well as the special use permit. We're here obviously for the storage, which is the special use in the I-1 district, as well as fencing and a generator, electric generator for our parks and facilities building. We've been in it a little while now.
Should save the generator for separate?
We can go through the...
You can do it all? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, if you want, I could just do it like the overview and then just talk about the...
Go ahead.
Do
the whole
storage.
Whole thing.
Okay, well, As you know, we've been in our building a little while now, and some of the things that are really essential to a facility and services building, just like our parks and facilities building or your public works building, are things such as storage bins and security fencing and generator as well. So that's why we've come before you tonight on these items. You want me just to start with the...
Yeah, I think you can go just
okay.
mention each one of the things that you're here for.
So we're looking at gates, and you can see on the overall site plan, we're looking at 3 separate gates. One gate to the south, which is would be an electric sliding gate operated by a gooseneck keypad, as well as a sensor loop that'll close it afterwards, and remote control as well. That's the one down at the south end of the building. At the north, which we're calling North Gate 1, not to be confused with Northgate Drive, is a second slide gate operating the same way. It's an electric slide gate, gooseneck keypad, loop sensor for closing, and remote. And then the third gate is what's called Northgate 2, and that's strictly a swing gate, and it'll be manual gate with, and incidentally, all the gates will have a lock box or Knox box for the fire department per the ordinance, but that one is strictly a manual gate that will be primarily locked, and it's to enclose the area. Right now, our back area is completely open to anybody who wants to drive through, and we do get a lot of cut-through through our north drive into the business next to us, and that gate is really intended to secure our area as well as to prevent cut-through through our drive. So we've got the gates, and then, as we mentioned, we've got material storage bins, and these are kind of the type that you would typically see at a public works facility. They are 10 feet high, some are 8 feet wide, some are 15 feet wide. You can see up there, there's 5 that are 8 feet wide, 2 that are 15 feet wide and 8 feet deep. And the size and the number of these are primarily, and we've written this out in our standards for the special use, is to store a variety of materials. The 8 feet wide and the 15 feet wide is set because that is the size that we need typically to get a front-end loader or a Bobcat in there to pick up materials and to come out. The intention is to store materials such as sand, stone, wood chips, mulch, and dirt, and just any type of materials that we have, as you can see right now, that are just sitting in the back of our building, and we really need to clean that up and put those into storage. The bins themselves will be concrete, poured concrete with a finish in texture and color to match the building. The back wall of the storage bins will not be the back wall of the building. They will have their own separate back wall. And as we kind of heard from the previous storage bins, there probably will be a slight gap between the two of them just by the nature of constructing 2 concrete walls together. That will be enclosed with flashing because not only are we concerned with debris, but we're also concerned about moisture. So that'll be completely used like roofing material or flashing to enclose that area so debris or moisture doesn't get in between that. 400 square feet is allowed in this district. We really try to see if we can fit the amount of materials we have in that. We couldn't, so we're asking for 160 feet above that. And that really allows us, as you can see through our standards of special use, to the flexibility and to store the amount of materials that we need. One of the issues, or not the issues, but one of the other items with the outdoor storage bins is the property directly to the east of us is Northside Park, which we were here last year before you, and that's been completed, as well as Hawthorne School. And we do have a row of spruce trees right now that screen that, but we would intend to do additional screening at the north end where it is more open, because really the other thing we want to make sure is that people walking on the pathway in our park are not looking at the back of our building but seeing more attractive, and the intention would be to do landscaping, but I believe in this case we would do it in the park because there's a utility easement back there, and we really don't want to plant there, so we can really achieve the same effect by putting the landscape screening in the park. So the other thing I mentioned too is we do have a fence currently between the park and our facility, and we would be adding some additional fencing from the gates to the fence on the east side of our facility, as well as the south side of our facility. So that area will be totally enclosed and secure. And then the other item we're here before you is a generator. And this was an item that we really found that we needed. I think we knew we needed even before we got into this building. It's a diesel fuel operation generator, and our architect has been working with the fire department throughout this entire process to make sure that we're meeting all the ordinances and codes relative to a fuel generator. It will service our entire building and includes all the items that are required per village code, and then the concrete enclosure that's required would be painted the same color and texture to match the building. So basically, it would simply look like another feature of the building. Really, I don't think that, although that's in the front of the building because that's where the connection is, it really matches real nicely with the rest of the building. So that's basically an overview of our the permit, the approvals that we're requesting.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak? Not seeing anyone, we'll go on to the fire department. Do you have some comments?
First of all, yes, we've been in contact with their design staff, and they've pretty much addressed all of the concerns and the issues related to the use of a diesel-fueled generator for both this property and the other property that they're looking for. The other two items that we commented on that they did not show in their plans, and I don't know whether they took it into consideration, but on the north side and then the south side where the gates are, there are two fire hydrants. One, the south side would be on the inside of the gated area, which isn't necessarily an issue because we have access. But the one on the north side is outside of the gated area, but it's a matter of making sure that what they call the steamer connection, the large opening at a fire hydrant, is properly orientated so it's not facing into the fence. That can be reclocked. And the other portion would be making sure that there's enough space between the fence itself and the fire hydrant to allow us to operate the hydrant properly. Looking at the drawing, you can see there's a space between the curb line and the yellow line of the fence. You know, they may have to come a little closer to the curb line to make it all work, but that is not an insurmountable problem. The other issue that we did comment on, most commonly when the contractor storage bins, usually they're not right up against the building. And one of the items they want to have is mulch. And although there are no specific code objections to that, mulch does have a tendency to either spontaneously combust if the conditions are correct, be ignited by discarded cigarettes, and so it would be preferable if it wasn't there, but I don't foresee it happening. The other issue with the bins back there is they are directly adjacent to each of the three exits on the rear of the building. So the solution may be the location that they put the mulch when they're doing that. So more of a staging issue than anything else.
In other words, keeping the mulch away from the entrances and exits?
Correct. There are some other solutions, but I don't know if they're cost effective.
Is this something we have to put into conditions, or is that handled by the...
I've written it in just to make sure that we remember it.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Thank you.
If I could just, can I address?
You sure can.
On the fire hydrants, I got the memo. I did go out there today and take a look. They're actually both inside fenced area.
Okay, the way you're planning it, they're both inside?
Yes. Well, the way the way it's shown on the drawing right now.
Okay.
One of them, the one on the south side is actually well away.
Right, south side isn't the issue, the one was the north
One
side.
on the north side, it's close, it's about 5 feet away, but we'll make sure we adjust our fence to get, the minimum I saw was 4 feet, and that the attachment head is not facing the fence.
I guess there then the issue becomes that hydrant isn't solely for servicing the Park District facility, it's also there to service the other building.
Okay.
I know we do have access with the key boxes and the other things that you've, already agreed to. That may be something that we can go out there and look at
Okay.
and adjust it accordingly.
Yeah, we'd be willing to adjust that to meet whatever the requirements of the fire
Very good.
department has.
Mr. Schaff, start with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I like the idea. It's good, cleans the place up, secures it. My question about the generator, is it a manual transfer or automatic transfer?
It's automatic transfer.
Automatic transfer.
Yeah.
So you're going to have a regular testing schedule and such for that?
Yeah, I think the fire department may require that.
At this point, nothing in the document led us to believe it was as a replacement for emergency lighting, emergency power supply. It appeared to be just for your building operations. So as long as all of the existing emergency systems, fire alarm, sprinkler pumps, anything of that nature, are powered the way they are, and this is solely for the benefit of business needs, there are no specific code requirements. If it is for the other items, yes, there's things where it's supposed to be tested weekly, monthly, and so forth.
This is strictly to operate the business. It doesn't affect the emergency systems. So we could have it inspected, on a regular basis.
Right, but I would think that you would want some type of an automatic or a maintenance schedule for that automatic switch.
Okay.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Steinle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Couple questions. On the eastern side of your property between the school and the park, is the only thing that you're providing to screen the bins and whatever the row of trees that, or is there a fence there as well?
There is a fence, but it's a chain link fence. Right now, the only thing that's there are Colorado blue spruces, spaced 15 feet apart.
Do you know roughly how tall they grow?
Those will grow a minimum of 50 feet height, a minimum of 20 feet in width.
Okay, because the variation or the outdoor storage requirements in that area require that it be completely screened up to the height of the storage material that you have, and you're putting in 10-foot bins, 10-foot tall bins. So the trees will more than cover the 10-foot. And you will add, you said, an additional row of trees or extend that tree line to the north?
Yeah, we'll and if you could show up on where it says North Gate 2 up in that area, there is a gap, and we will provide additional evergreen screening in that, right in that location. And as it's shown, we would probably put it on the park side because of the utility easement that's on the other side of the fence. So we'll be screening in that location as well.
Okay, thank you. That's the only question I had, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Dorban.
My only question was what Terry had about continuing the tree line. I think it certainly looks like a good plan, and apparently was well thought out, so good luck with it.
Thank you. Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you. Has something changed that this wasn't part of the original request? Where were you storing this material before, or are you storing it now?
We're storing some materials. Some materials we don't have right now. We have to go out and purchase because we have nowhere to store them, so we have to purchase them as we need them. So you could see from the photo some of some materials, more kind of blocks that we've been using on projects, and limestone we've taken, they're just being stored back up against the building now.
Oh.
So this is clearly a need, like we stated, it's clearly a need we have at this facility.
Okay. And fuel for the generator, is that stored in a tank?
The fuel for the generator is stored in the tank, but it's not. It's refilled as it's needed. Typically, we'll have some fuel in it, just because, like anything else, you don't want it to be dried out.
Right.
But a supplier comes and fills up the tank.
So it's a small tank inside the...
Actually, there's depending on the size of the generator, 300-gallon rectangular box tank that's directly underneath the generator itself.
Oh,
and the
okay.
generator draws its fuel from that, and then it gets refueled by a vehicle when they need to.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
And I believe the size of the tank has been provided to the fire department.
Yes, yes.
I think that's all I had, thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Burns.
Thank you. Very well prepared as usual. Thank you. Good presentation. The last thing mentioned, the diesel generator, diesels, of course, are notorious for having difficulty starting in the wintertime, but apparently, are there more diesel generators around town, and now the engineering is such that it's not a problem?
They're a common item. The Westin Hotel has a diesel generator, as an example. Prefer to see a natural gas, but sometimes availability, field conditions, other design considerations make a diesel generator more attractive and more operationally usable to the user. That's why we have certain provisions in the code, as he referenced earlier, with the screening and things of that nature, which comes up with the diesel generator. If they didn't have a diesel generator by the fire prevention code, they would not have to provide any screening around the generator itself.
Okay. Well, thank you, and best of luck.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Would you read the conditions, please?
Sure. This is on 2012-17A, which is the special use. Number one, that additional evergreens shall be planted along either side of the rear property line to fully screen the property from Northside Park. Number two, that mulch and wood chips shall not be stored in the storage bins closest to the doors. And number three, the fire hydrant configuration shall be modified to provide the required access adjacent to the new fences if needed.
First, I want to close the public portion of the hearing. And do I hear a motion on 2012-17A, special use site plan approval for outdoor storage?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Doorband?
Yes.
Commissioner Burns?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaaf?
Yes.
I'm Commissioner Stalin. I vote yes. Chairman Maloney?
Yes.
6 yes and 1 absent.
On 2012-17B, variation from Title 19 zoning for size and outdoor storage, the conditions?
There are no conditions.
No
on the
conditions. Do I
variation.
hear a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Please call the roll.
I'm Commissioner Stalin. I vote yes. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaaf?
Yes.
Commissioner Doorband?
Yes.
Commissioner Burns?
Yes.
Chairman Maloney?
Yes.
That's 6 yes, and Commissioner Rufato is still absent.
Still. Do I hear a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There are none. We're closed on that. While we're doing the paperwork on this, let's move on to docket number PC 1225. Again, Wheeling Park District, same location. This is for the appearance approval of a generator, which we've already talked about. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Can we just get a clarification that the perimeter of the generator will have the same look, feel, texture as the color of the building? I mean, it will look as close as possible.
Yeah, that's shown on the documents we submitted.
Okay, I don't think we Did we see any?
Well, it's just noted.
It's noted on the plan that it would match.
It's going to blend in, you won't even see it. Are there conditions on this?
There are no conditions.
There are none?
No.
Do I hear a motion? We had a motion, right?
And second.
And second. Please call the roll.
Who was the motion by?
Commissioner Dorban had the motion. Who had the second?
Johnson.
Yep.
Commissioner Dorban?
Yes.
Commissioner
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Burns?
Yes.
I'm Commissioner Stylen. I vote yes. Commissioner Schaaf?
Yes.
Chairman Maloney?
Yes.
6 yes and 1 absent.
You hit the jackpot tonight, Larry.
Right, thank you.
You've got some papers to sign and
I think the first 4 should be out there.
17A.
Jan, can you or Larry give us an update on what's going on over there to date? Since everyone's asking.
And everybody's watching this.
Mounds of dirt. Just a lot of earth moving right now. That's really what they're doing.
Pushing dirt around?
Yeah,
Making a very big hill, too.
yeah.
Several. 3?
And the amount of equipment has just been amazing.
When are they going to demolish the brick buildings?
I'm not sure. I think because of the not starting when they initially did, they've kind of changed their planning. I would hope sooner than later, especially those, residential properties.
Good. Thank you.
Just procedurally, the generator was a minor site plan, so you can go through the permitting process at this point. The storage bins are a special use with the variation associated with it as a public hearing item that would need to go on to the board for their final vote.
Does that go on consent agenda?
A special use can't go on consent with the board. We will put it on the next available meeting. You can give us a call. We'll let you know how that's panning out. Should be in the near future.
Okay, moving along, approval of the minutes of the October 11th, I'm sorry, I need a motion to close the public hearing, if I didn't get one. Did I get that? Motion made, second?
Second.
All those in favor of closing the public hearing?
Aye.
Okay. October 11th, 2012, approval of minutes. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. This is voice vote, right? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
1 abstention. Okay, other business, Mr. Jennings.
Thank you. All I have at this point is just a brief overview of our projection of the upcoming meetings. This is the earlier meetings. I think we have a better handle on, but this is what we're projecting for the next month and a half, actually. The first meeting in November, we believe that the consultant for the Southeast TIF redevelopment project should be available for a workshop discussion on the draft land use alternatives for that plan November 15th. We have a projection of a public hearing related to the sign code, as well as a public hearing for the active transportation plan. While we're on that one, just a couple of notes. The active transportation plan draft should be available in the very near future. There was a tour earlier this week for the steering committee and some of the other folks on the Bike and Pedestrian Task Force who were able to attend. The purpose of the tour was to show examples of some of the locations that illustrated particular issues that the plan intends to address. And the consultants for the plan had examples, photographs of the types of facilities that could be employed to address different issues in different locations around the village. So the hearing that we expect on the 15th will be the first public hearing relating to this plan. Pretty excited to have the first public review of this. The sign code, just as a quick note as to why we were doing this and why we're doing it now. The staff experience with the landscape bond requirement has been that businesses are having a very difficult time understanding it. The amount of these bonds is unusually low, and the contractor who is getting the bond is many places removed from the business. So it is often a sign manufacturer hires a sign installer who hires a landscaper. So it's very far from the business who originally requested the permit, and it takes quite some time to explain to the entire chain how the requirement works. We did some research among our staff, both Ms. Jones and myself, and then in conjunction with the finance department to try to find a solution for this where we have we achieve the same goal but in a way that the businesses can understand and keeps them moving toward their permits and moving toward identifying their businesses, which is, I'm sure you can imagine, very important to a new business. And we believe that a fine-based requirement would achieve the same objectives and still allow businesses to identify themselves. And during the hearing, I can of course explain more of this, but the bond companies and the landscapers and the sign companies were having a lot of trouble trying to figure out how to meet this requirement, and it was causing significant delays in our permitting. If there are other suggestions of sign code questions and requirements, we can include that in this publication, but the primary purpose of this is to have this particular requirement modified so that the annual update to the village fees and fines and permitting costs can include this. And that's the idea of doing it on this date. The December 13th meeting, the Southeast TIF consultants, we're expecting them to be back for what would be a public hearing, which is required as a comprehensive plan amendment. We're also anticipating as a possibility for that meeting that there could be the second part of our two-part comprehensive plan discussion relating to the assessment of the plan itself. Of course, that's getting on into December. We're only projecting that tentatively at this point. Any questions on the upcoming topics and meetings? That's all I have.
Okay. Under other business, Mr. Schaff.
Thank you. What was the last one? October 11th, when Creekside, he had some options when we voted him down. Of course, one of them is to do nothing. One was to go before the trustees or to build a sign, two signs. Is there any words on that?
Well, what he did was he cut limbs off trees so you could see the signs on the buildings as you go by.
So as far as we know, he's just not going to do anything, as far as we know.
That's only observation.
We haven't had any update from
him. No update from him?
No formal contact or informal contact.
Okay, thanks. That's all I had. Thank you.
Commissioner Stylen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, both the Park District and Tamagawa today for their special use and variation requests cited NA in their required answers. And Andrew, you did give a suggested answer, but in the future I really think we should have a statement by the business owner themselves, and then you can kind of translate what they're saying into our language. So I just don't want to get in the habit of having only your statements and not the business owner's statements. For the sign stuff that you were talking about, trying to find something in place of a bond, the only question I would have that maybe you could address in the future is, would the fine be proportional to the bond amount that would be required to fulfill the landscaping, or would it be a static, predetermined, put into the ordinance cost, that would be generic for any landscaping? I think we should probably discuss that when the time comes around. And then the only thing I would like to see added to the sign discussion is some discussion of what the minimum size for the logo that generates the increased bandwidth. Today, I think we say it's proportional or something like that. I'd like to see something that maybe says it must be at least, the logo must be at least the size of a capital letter or something like that. So a period or a smiley face or something would trigger a... And then the only other thing would be, have you had any additional thoughts on the OV zone, creating an OV zone for the airport to kind of promote constructive businesses that are complementary to airport usage?
The status has not changed. I sent it to the consultants. It's part of what they're reviewing for their recommendation related to the Southeast TIF.
Yeah, but the Southeast TIF is just a small portion of the entire airport area, so I mean, we can surely get their input, but I'd like to go well beyond the Southeast TIF.
I think the first step would be seeing what the consultants do with it, what they recommend.
Okay. I'll be patient. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Dorband.
I have nothing, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Johnson.
Nothing from me.
Commissioner Burns.
Nothing, Mr. Chairman.
And neither do I. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? We're out of here.
Who made the motion?